In the previous video, I shared with you that the forms section on the Mozilla website has a lot of the elements that are used to create these elements for the form. And if you actually click on any one of them, let's say if I click on input over here, which is the most common one, they have a very good description and a demo of what these look like. So they can be read-only, disabled, and stuff like that. So they have a lot of properties also. So you can study them in detail. Also, if you actually scroll down over here, you see that the input element actually comes in multiple types: the button type, the checkbox type, the color type, the date type, and so many different options. Now, the good thing about a reference is that it gives you all the information that is possibly available for that particular technology. But at the same time, reference has so much information that you actually do not need and you do not use. So in this video, I want to share with you some of the commonly used input elements, all right? So over here are different ones. So there's a button over here, there's an email field, there's a date. So you see over here, the date calendar shows up over here. There's a hidden field, right? Number and so forth. So we can go in detail over here, but basically on the side over here is all the code. So simply, if you actually want to create a button, which is different than just a submit button, you can just simply have the input as button and you provide whatever label you want over here. So if I make this a little bit smaller, you see the button shows up, all right? You can make it do anything, and that's the job of JavaScript, to actually make those buttons do something that is not in scope for HTML and CSS. Those technologies are just visual aspects. Now, similarly, if you want an email field and you want the browser to validate that an email is actually entered, if you actually get into JavaScript later on, it can actually show an error message over here that, hey, you did not enter an email. Similarly, you can actually have a date over here and a date picker. A hidden field is very helpful when, let's say, as a developer, we want to store certain information and we want to send it on the form submission, but we do not want to show it to a user. So that's why a lot of times those fields are hidden. The number field you see over here, you can, if I try to enter certain ABCDs, wow, it was possible. I don't know why it should not show up. That's an error. But basically, if I'm typing actually, which I am right now, if you can hear my my keyboard, it actually doesn't show this particular any number over here. Right? I don't know why the E showed up. Now, password, you already saw the range is this one. So actually, if you go over here, it simply says range, and you can actually have this particular slider. Reset actually resets the entire form. So if I actually had this inside a form, which I will do right now in front of you. So I'll create a form element, and inside all of these are going to be shown. So I'm going to wrap this inside form. Save, refresh, and if I actually enter certain information and if I do reset, it's actually going to reset the entire form. That's the reset button. Search, you see this particular icon shows up over here. Submit is the same one. Now checkbox, let me show you about the checkbox, right? So here is the code for checkbox. Now you see that checkbox usually has one or two options, right? So let's say this is the checkbox type, and whatever label you want to enter over here, and the name of the checkbox. All right, so you can create that. Now usually checkboxes are something that you can actually select multiple things, but radio is an option where you want to only select one option. So if you actually name the multiple radio elements the same name, it's going to make sure automatically that if this other one is actually selected, it's going to deselect the other one, right? You see, and that's possible because you actually set the name of both of the elements the same. Similarly, there's a select box over here, right? So if you want to select a certain option over here, you actually create a select element, right? Select element. And inside the children are the different options that you want. So option, option, option. And you can provide whatever label you want and a value, all right? And actually, a lot of times you see that, there's a placeholder that shows up, but when you click over here, it actually doesn't show. So you do that by making it selected, disabled, and hidden. So it's hidden, it doesn't show if you actually do this, but actually is selected. So that's when you actually show up over here on the page and you refresh the page, it's the default option which is selected. So these are certain options which are available. So you can again play around with it in our documentation. You can just study that. You go back over here, go to the select and options over here, select, and you can study the different options which are available. Okay. Now, a few more things is a text area, which is a big text box over here, right? So the way it works actually is there's a different field which is called text area, and you provide how wide you want it to be, how long you want it to be, and that's it. And that's going to create this particular text area, all right? And the browser beautifully allows you to make it big and small like such. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. These are just elements which actually just show up on your page, and these are interactive features. But again, I want to reiterate that a form on its own with HTML does nothing. This is just a placeholder. If you want some activity, so if you click this, something happens. If you click this, something happens. That's all the magic that's done with JavaScript. If you are interested, you should upgrade to you should upgrade to iLoveCoding Pro, so you can actually sign up and see all the advanced courses and simple courses and advanced courses on JavaScript, so you can become a real developer who can build interactive, fully featured websites. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to talk to you in the next. Oh, one last thing. If you want to make these elements look beautiful, it's all done via CSS. So you already know CSS so far. And if you want certain padding, if you want to change the font color, if you want borders, if you want certain spacing, if you want whatever you want, put an image in the background, whatever you want, that's all done via CSS. So you just apply a particular ID or class over here and you style that in your CSS. That's it. I'm going to talk to you in the next video.